There should be more asexual romances. Yes, representation or whatever, but also asexual romances could hold so much character and wonderful emotional beats that just aren't possible otherwise. Sometimes it sorta happens on accident, but not very often. There's just so much juice in telling an asexual romance story that would benefit all audiences. Kinda like with feminist characters. To make a good normal protagonist, you need to make a character with strong and interesting traits and give him lots of agency. To make a good feminist protagonist, you need to make that character a woman with strong and interesting traits and give her lots of agency. To make a good romance, you need to push together two characters with engaging chemistry and explore their relationship. To make any allosexual romance an asexual romance, all you'd really have to do is explore the relationship slightly differently. This would force you into different tropes and confrontations, and it would give the story a fresh take, but it would still be engaging to everyone. Before I get ahead of myself, let's define some terms. I make these for me, so I don't really have to, but A, higher word counts make me feel smart, and B, these terms are actually kind of important to my point. So first, the easiest way to describe asexuality is that sexual and romantic attraction are not the same thing. The desire to have sex with someone and the desire to date them are not the same feelings. Asexuals can feel romantic attraction towards people without having sexual attraction, or they might not feel any romantic attraction whatsoever. So regardless of romantic attraction, asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction towards anyone. Asterisk. Okay, so some aces actually do experience sexual attraction. Demisexuals experience it, but only after emotional bonds are formed. Phrasexuals are not that. Agosexuals are into sex in the abstract, but not in a personal sense. WTF sexuals are pretty much just what it says on the tin. But despite whatever attractions any specific ace might feel, any kind of asexual will not enjoy sex. Asterisk. The spectrum of sex repulsion is just that. It's a spectrum. Some aces are sex favorable, some are sex neutral, and some are sex repulsed. It just kind of depends on the person, you know? With all these interacting labels and sub-labels and nuance, it's often very difficult and sometimes sort of pointless to put an exact label on anything, and look at that. It's my point. This is why an asexual romance story would be so much fun. With so much nuance and complexity to dig into, it would be hard not to find something interesting. You don't even have to get into the weeds about names and labels and micro labels or anything. Just opening up the door to asexual experiences would free up so many stories that were simply untellable before. Great, so this is something that I want, but could it really appeal to wider demographics? Has this ever worked before? Well, let's first talk about a time it happened on accident. Toradora. Basically, even though it's a straight passing romance, I really get ace vibes. It's hard to place the cast's exact identities because any aceness is probably on accident, and also I don't really care. The underlying arc of the show is both Taiga and Ruiji learning how that fluttery feeling they get around their crush is not actually the fullest manifestation of their love. In other words, throughout the show, both Taiga and Ruiji decide that they want to pursue their romantic attraction over their sexual attraction. The romantic bond is developed over a very long time and didn't start out at all romantic. They start out as technically friends and gradually get closer and closer until, surprise, they're dating. This is actually pretty similar to my limited experience. I've never really had a crush on anyone and then as a result tried hard to date them. It's always been a friendship that got closer and closer until suddenly, I guess we were dating the whole time? I did skip the stabby step though. Anyway, if you've seen Toradora, you know what I'm talking about. For most of the show, they would both deny having feelings for the other because they wouldn't want to admit it to anyone, but also because for much of the runtime, they don't recognize that those feelings are romantic ones. But despite them not fully understanding the feelings that they have, there are plenty of moments where Taiga and Ruiji do something for each other almost instinctively, just because they already have such a strong bond. So when they run away together, even though it does come rather suddenly, it makes perfect sense. Before we move on.
For some people, falling in love's like second nature, but I can't even relate to that. So if I've never experienced love before, is it real? And that makes me wonder if ghosts are real. I haven't seen one yet, so maybe they're not. See?
That is a very ace thing to say. That is all. So if asexuality can make compelling stories on accident, what would happen if you did it on purpose? Lumen to You is an asexual romance on purpose, and is also hands down the best romance I have ever seen. Am I biased because it's the only piece of media I've ever seen that has accurately portrayed my sexuality, both concerning how I view dating and interacting with people in that context, but also how I interact with an allonormative world and I don't really exist in that world's eyes, and that's feeling a strange disconnect from all romantic content and culture it produces, but also maybe I'm one use gender, I think? Yeah, but other people like it too. To illustrate why I love Bloom into You so much, I have to hate on Tonikawa a little, sorry. So let's just do a brief recap. Why does NASA love Tsukasa?
That girl is just really cute! She's even cute with her hair up! She's so cute, I can't take it!
It's just that you're so cute. Like, really cute. You look really beautiful.
Still, look how cute! I want to hug my braless, pantyless wife so much! That's so cute! Oh, so cute!
This makes their romance feel less like that of a married couple and more like a puppy dog love. I would have no problem with that, except for the fact that they're married. I just think married couples should have an established romantic bond. I'm not the weird one, am I? The real problem arises though when he never says any other reason why he loves her. Tsukasa does say why she loves NASA once or twice, but never really the other way around. Like, he does sorta, but when he talks about her, it's always very shallow. He talks about their relationship with real emotion, but never about the person that relationship is with. Take this scene in episode 10. They're on a late night stroll and NASA asks Tsukasa how she's enjoying being married to him. And she gives him a cute romantic answer about learning how to live life with him.
Well, I like that every day. I learn so many new things.
Yeah?
Sometimes I find things really funny. And some moments that are actually thrilling, like this one. I'm experiencing emotions for the first time I never even knew existed before. Thanks to you. From now on, I'm going to learn so much more and feel everything, NASA.
Tsukasa. I love your body.
I am not physically capable of watching this without laughing. I don't have any idea what's supposed to be going on here. Do people really think like this? Is this supposed to be normal? It's just a different lifestyle. Even if I don't personally live that way, some people must choose to. Tonikawa and Bloom are really aiming for different things, so it's not an entirely fair comparison, especially considering what these shows mean to me personally. On one hand, Tonikawa, yeah, it's pretty good, I liked it. On the other hand, am I biased? Because they do also have very different goals. The tone of Tonikawa is a lot lighter and comedy oriented, but still, imagine what a lighter show would look like if it applied these ideas. I don't know, Horimiya, School of Rumble, Nozaki-kun, but focused more on this couple or maybe this one? That literally seems perfect. I love those shows. So back to Bloom into You. Why do Toko and you love each other? Well, Toko loves you because I kind of don't want to spoil it. It is kind of revealed later, but Toko has a lot of trauma and stuff going on with how she views herself and is bound up in that. Please watch the show. It's pretty much the greatest thing I've ever seen. Yu likes Toko for less spoilery reasons. Yu gets to see a vulnerable part of Toko that nobody else really gets to. Consistently, Yu gets to be close to Toko and support her in unique ways, either with personal issues or just in like a relay race or whatever. They also just like talk about their relationship. Nasa and Tsukasa do as well, but the discussions feel entirely different. Every time they do, Yu has to grapple with what love really means to her and if how she needs to express that love is what Toko needs. And Toko has to grapple with who she wants to be and who gets to see what versions of her. In each conversation they always have the same internal struggles, but because they talk about it so much, we get to see them develop over time. Toko gets more and more upfront about her issues and how those affect what she needs from the relationship, and Yu's feelings toward Toko grow over time.
To have my first kiss suddenly stolen by a girl like that. But if I didn't hate it, then why can't I feel more excited about it? Even without any romance or a relationship, you just seem like you need me. I want to find a way to make myself look at her the same way that she looks at me.
And apparently they keep developing, but I haven't read the manga. I'll get there one day. However, when Nasa and Tsukasa talk about their feelings, they don't say anything much deeper than, I want to live out my life with you. They never relate the relationship back to themselves, so I can gather that they do love each other, but I cannot begin to tell you what that means to them, or how it affects their feelings, or in what ways the relationship has changed them. Maybe they would discuss further, but so often when they get close to an intimate conversation, the show plays some sexy sax music and Nasa starts fantasizing about seeing Tsukasa naked, or in the bath, or changing, or asleep, or in her underwear, or in yukata, or in new clothes, or in pretty much any situation at all. It doesn't take a lot to get him going. You see the difference there? Because Yu doesn't feel sexual attraction towards Toko, there actually needs to be development of their romance. They need to have scenes of emotional intimacy where Nasa and Tsukasa can just get away with a helping hand from Truck-kun. In a story where romance is the main focus of interest, doesn't that just make it objectively more compelling? Also, this is a product of hetero relationships being the default, and so the mere fact that two straight characters in the same room, they have presumed romantic attention, whereas queer relationships are seen as abnormal and so needing justification, and these two being lesbians isn't helping in that matter. I don't think that's the primary reason, but it is kind of part of it, I think, probably. So overall, Yu and Toko get developed more, but they also get developed differently. Nasa and Tsukasa have their relationship developed through largely, though not entirely, physical means, whereas Toko and Yu have theirs developed through largely, though not entirely, emotional means. Nasa spends the first couple of episodes trying to sleep in the same bed as Tsukasa. When she has to go to the laundry without a bra, Nasa takes a bunch of pictures of her. They try and fail to mac pretty often, which are all physical bonding as opposed to visiting his parents or shopping for an apartment, which are more emotional. Yu calms Toko down before her student council speech, asks her about not feeling the love fireworks, and Toko opens up about her trauma, which are all emotional bonding as opposed to making out in a closet, which is more physical. Both shows build the relationship physically and emotionally, but there is a pretty clear bias as to which they prefer. In Bloom and Yu, the goal of their relationship is emotional support and self-definition. Their physical intimacy is just something that happens along the way. Even for Toko, who enjoys the physical intimacy much more than Yu does, it's not the primary thing she's looking for. She does pursue it, but mostly she chases after Yu's emotional attention. But Nasa seems to be intensely focused on having sex with his wife, and sometimes it seems like growing emotionally closer to her is just a way to attain that. Like when they go shopping for clothes, that would appear to be a nice time to talk and be near each other and grow emotionally closer, but instead Nasa just ends up ogling Tsukasa all day. Tsukasa is actually kind of a black box. Apparently she gets more backstory in the manga, but I don't know, I'm not gonna read it. In the anime, she does talk about why she likes Nasa, but it's pretty rare and she often gets interrupted by something else. So yeah, representing aces in the romance genre is good not only for representation, but also because they just have really good stories to tell. And I kind of want a lot more of them. I think we can all agree that's the most important reason.
You don't get married because you've proven you're in love. You get married so that you can prove it over and over.
Am I really so out of touch? Nah, it's gotta be the Aloes who are wrong.